Here's some observations from the farmer's market today. Sundays I'll go every so often when I need to reload on stuff, and it just dips me back into society, and then that's when I get to see just a snapshot of kind of how we're doing. I know it's regional, but then I also get to travel and observe. And an experience happened while I was in a line. I could overhear conversations behind me, and I was speaking to friends in line about what I was doing and with the sprinter, and doing house calls and doing virtual and doing, how I had shifted. And these people had been in my office before, so they were just curious as to what I'm doing now and how I'm moving along. And this woman behind goes, "And what do you do?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm in training and rehab and performance and just everything that is the healing of the human." And she's like, "Oh, so exercise." I'm like, "Yes, that's part of it, absolutely." And then she goes, sitting there a little more, and she's like, "Now you do house calls." And I was like, "Yes, that's a new division I've been doing because I shut down my office after 22 years. And she goes, "Oh, I'm sure that saved you money." That I'm like, "No, I did it because there's just no reason to have a place you go to get this constant guidance, like a doctor's office, a specialist office anymore. It just doesn't make any sense anymore. Nobody has to touch you, examine you, test you. It can literally be just a conversation." And then she's like, "Oh, well, I need help, XYZ. Great." And she's like, "Could you help me?" I'm like, "Absolutely. Do you have a business card?" "No, I don't, but you can just take my cell phone." And so I gave her my cell phone and email, and her daughter put it into her phone. And she's like, "Okay." And then she mentioned some label that she had. She's like, "Are you familiar with this?" I'm like, "I am very." And she's like, "Okay." I'm like, "We have to factor that in as well. But that is a healing response, and it'll all make sense." And then she asked about my rates. And I said, "Go ahead and email me, and we'll go in. It's going to depend on where we go with this, and even if it's a fit. Because how I approach it might not make sense to you. It might not be right for this moment for you right now." And she's like, "Okay." So then I'm standing in line, and I'm ordering, and there's a whole bunch of items and farm, this whole thing. And then she goes, as I make my order, "Tommy, what should I get? What's the stuff to get on here?" And I was like, "I don't know. I don't know what you're hungry for. I don't know what you can digest." And she's like, "Okay, how about a sampler though?" And I was like, again, I don't have any idea. And that kind of puzzled her, but then she's also like, "Shit." And her daughter's laughing, and her son-in-law and husband or people on the line are like, "Huh." So then when I was done, it was very nice meeting you, moved along, and look forward to hearing from you and see if we can work together. And said goodbye to my friends and walked and went and got a boatload of bread and some other things. But again, it's disheartening because most of those, like 98% of the lines and the vendors there are selling, powders and tinctures, and even the foods or drink. They're done in a way to where you just overhear it. It's take this for this, and oh, you've got this. Oh, you need to eat this, and oh, my mom's got that, and she ate this, and she did this, and she did this. It's just this constant, beautiful, beautiful healing responses from everybody, but then the solutions are, tell me what to do, as long as it's alternative, and you're taking in all forms of the body and treating the whole body, and that we got to get away from, because you're not treating anything. And holistic doesn't mean a whole bunch of different practitioners, like a nutritionist, an endocrinologist, a light worker, a body worker, a bone worker, an adjuster, a trainer, a spiritual guide. And holistic just means the entirety of your life you need to look at. And part of the reason alternative medicine needs to dissolve as well, because it's taking the same story allopathic is, where your body's pathological, it's ill, it's broken, it's wrong, it's against you, it's unnatural, it's symptomatic. Oh my God, here's tests and all this stuff. But instead of using drugs and pharmaceuticals and surgeries, we're going to use the farmer's market. Jesus. And it's just gotten us worse than we ever were before. So some takeaways. one, it's sad and upsetting because there's people that truly want guidance, and even this lady, hopefully she reaches out and I can, break it down for her why this won't be me showing up at your house regularly telling you what to do. We have to get away from this tell me what to do all the time type scenario, because that's very disempowering and very anti-freedom. If we're barking freedom, the last thing you want is to be attached to a program, a protocol, or an office, or a lab value, or even be labeled. To be totally honest, I never got her name, but I know what label she's got. And that's the sad part. She told me her label. She introduced her a part of her life that's identifying with all these things that she's got going on, and I never got her name. And that sucks. That would never happen if I was working with her, and it was just an observation. But again, this perpetuating, and I've been going to this thing for 9 years. It is by far worse now than ever. The conversations I hear, the level that the people are at. It's not the healing responses are healing responses. We're going to have those forever. But it's how we're going about. Advances in medicine are going to get to a point where it's not this tell me what to do, take this, take that, and constant follow-ups. Follow-ups and moving forwards are going to be, hey, few and far between, and hey, I've been doing this, and this. I'm aware of this. I've changed this. Body responded with this. I did this. I'm experimenting with this. Curious your thoughts on this. I'm kind of stuck here. I want to advance here. What do you think about me doing this? Done. Here we go. Now it's streamlined. There's so few and far between, but this whole constant re-up, tell me what to eat, tell me what to do, tell me what to, and then in the next breath go, freedom. What? And again, that's where I was saying, even to her, she mentioned, I was like, yeah, I could never tell you what to eat. I could never tell you what to train, because she's like, I want to get away from gyms. I don't like the gym. I'm like, yeah, gyms will be part of the bane of our existence from a health standpoint. They needed to dissolve as well. And I mentioned that. I'm like, we need to put you in a position where you understand why you're feeling the way you are, and then what you can do in your life. That's a freeing way to cut the ties from all this stuff. And she's like, yeah, freedom. And everybody loves to get behind that word, because we've gotten less free in the last 4 years, by far less free, and from observing. And I'm not capitalizing on any of the shit other than just what I've been doing forever, career-wise. And so again, as we move forward in advancements, as we move forward in our lives, as we move forward in putting ourselves in understanding why our body responds the way it does, and then what we can do, it's got to be getting away from the, hey, Tommy, tell me what's good on this menu. Not what's tasty. Tell me, what should I get on this menu? Or tell me what vendor here to go to fix my this, that, the other, which are just a collection of healing responses that are categorized into an order that is this name, instead of your actual whatever you were named at birth, or whatever you call yourself now ahead of that. Your personality is now this. And again, you're never your diagnosis. Diagnoses are so self-limiting and so imprisoning. And everyone likes to kind of say that, but then we're right back here selling a powder or selling a loaf of bread backed with this coaching module that you eat this amount this day, and you take this for your gut, and you take this for your hormone, you take this for your feet, you put this on your skin, you take this for this. Oh, and then your child in the thing who's expressing the same thing as you is going to take this instead, and you're all going to be holy shit. And it is funny because they position themselves in this area as being at the precipice, the forefront of healing and health and modalities, and our IQ is so higher because we're California, it's healthy, and it's Encinitas, and it's this, and we could not be further from evolving in the last 4 years, where this has just gotten disgusting. It's gotten much, much worse. And so it's sad, it upsets me, but then it invigorates me and fires me up to continue to have these conversations. Part of the benefit, I usually just go into these things, get my shit, and leave, but part of having these conversations out loud, and humans want better for themselves. It's just by nature. They just know some things aren't ideal. And so you can't ignore what I'm saying. You might fight it and you might antagonize the responsibility and the dependency that's going to be on you, because you don't want to hear that. But these types of conversations having out loud, to where it's like, shit, okay, I'm gonna get my meat, I'm gonna get my bread, I'm gonna get my eggs, I'm gonna get my butter, I'm gonna get my plants, I'm gonna get my clothes, I'm gonna leave. Exactly. And then, now the people selling the meat and the clothes and the stuff are now coaches, and now they're like guides, and now it's like, holy shit. So again, what is the truth? What do you have that's proof of how your body responds, why it does, and then where do you need to go to elicit? Once you can make sense of this, then the changes that you need. But this is supposedly a health environment. You would say, oh, farmer's market. Yeah, health environment. The epitome of the opposite is being discussed there, is being dialogued there, and getting much worse. So just prepare yourselves that you taking on, if you're truly interested in this freedom and health and healing, it's going to be cutting ties with a lot of what has been storied as to salvation, being behind treating the whole body, fixing the whole body, manipulating the whole body, correcting the whole body under this alternative umbrella. And we got to leave the umbrellas in the case, or leave them to Seinfeld twirling it outside the store, because you're not under an umbrella. It's you with you. Again, the granite we could give to a billion people, but it's the poetry within the granite that makes, holy shit, there's a billion different poems. Boom.